In Python, control statements are used to change the flow of execution of a program. They are used to decide which statement to execute and in which order. Basically, there are three types of control statements in Python. The first one is selection statement, second one are loops, and third one is jump statement. So selection statements allows the user to choose which statement to be executed based on some certain condition. Basically, we use if, else, and elif inside a selection statement. So basic syntax for selection statement is if, or maybe it is else or elif. Then followed by a condition, then followed by colon, and everything which you want to write inside the if statement or else statement or elif statement should be indented by a tab space. This is the syntax for an if statement. You can write if statement alone, if and elif, if or else, if, elif, and else. But you cannot write elif statement without if statement or else statement without if statement. Okay, let us first see how to write an if statement. Basically, we assign a variable or any assignment operation uses single equal to sign. But if you want to compare two elements, you use double is equals to. Suppose if you write a double is equals to 2. So basically we use double is equals to, not equals to, or any other thing inside a control flow. If I write a is equals to 10, and if I want to check a condition, if a greater than 1, I want to print it is greater than 1. And if I execute the statement, see it got executed successfully, it is greater than 1. What if I write less than? This was not executed. Okay, you can write double is equals to, or you can also write less than or equals to, or greater than or equals to, less than, greater than, not equals to. So these are all the things which we can write inside a condition. Suppose if I have two statements, if a is equals to 1, I need to execute this statement, or else I need to execute the other statement. So I write the first statement was not executed. So if I run this, I'll get the first statement was not executed. So what happens here? Basically it checks for this condition. Whenever it fails if statement, it automatically goes into else statement. This is about if and else in Python. You can also write multiple statements here by just appending and or. Suppose if you want to check two conditions, like I have b is equals to 10 and b is equals to 10, and if you want to check two conditions, like I want a is equals to 10 and b is equals to 10. If both these conditions execute successfully, I need to print this statement, or else I need to print this statement. If I execute this, I got it is greater than 1. So this statement got executed. Suppose if I write or, what is or? Any of the one statement gets successfully executed, this will go inside this condition. Suppose if I execute this, I got it is greater than 1, because one of the statement is true. This is about conditional statements, and if I want to write more than one condition, because it's not always possible to have only two conditions for us, you can write it using elif. So just write elif a greater than 1, print, okay, let me take some other example. If a is greater than 1, I need to print is greater than 1. Okay, now I have written all these statements. Suppose I'm executing if a is greater than 1, I need to print a is greater than 1. If a is less than 1, I need to write a is less than 1, or else I need to write a is equals to 1. Suppose I have given the value of a as 10. It go it printed me a is greater than 1. Suppose if I write a is minus 1, first it checks for a greater than 1. This is not possible. Then it checks for elif a is less than 1. Yes, a is less than 1. So this statement gets executed. So I got a less than 1. Suppose I write it as 0. See, first condition was not true, second condition was not true. So directly it goes to third condition. This is about if, else and elif in Python. So the basic thing you need to remember is you need to write statement if followed by a condition, then a colon, and everything if you want to write inside the if statement should be intended. Then you can, the condition may be less than or equals to, greater than or equals to, double is equals to, not equals to, or any other thing, less than, greater than, and you can combine two or more statements using and, or, not, or any other thing. This is about selection statements in Python. Okay, now let's jump into loop statements. Before getting into loop statements, I'll tell you two interesting functions, which is range and in. Suppose you want to get a range from 0 to 10 numbers. You can directly use the inbuilt function range, specify the lower limit, specify the upper limit, specify the spacing. So if I print this, I'll get an object associated with this range function, but I want it as a list. I want to convert it into list, so I'll typecast using a function list. So I'll get all the numbers from 0 to the upper limit. 10 is excluded, so I'll get up to 9. Suppose I write 20, spacing is 2. I'll get 0, 2, 4 and so on. Suppose I want to print it in reverse order. I can write from 20 and the lower limit, which is 0. I need to specify the spacing as -1 or -2. So you'll get 20, 18, 16, 14 and 12. The simple thing is range function initially takes the lower limit. It adds every time this number until this condition is reached. And if you want to print simply the numbers from 0 to 10, so I can write range 10. So by default it takes 0 as the lower limit and 1 as the spacing. So it will print me 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is about list function. Now let's discuss about in Python. Suppose you have a list of elements from range 1 to 10. So I can simply write the list of range of 10. And if I print the value of a, I'll get it as 0 to 9. And if I want to check whether 2 is present in a, you can write 2 in a. It's basic common sense. We just write inside a Python, inside the Python statement. This will return me true if 2 is there inside the list. So I got it as true. Suppose if I am writing 100. So in checks whether an element is present inside the list or not. It can be list or string or any other thing. Suppose I am writing A, B, C. And if I am writing A and B, A, B, C. So in will iterate over this object. So I got it as true. Suppose I write 1. And if I execute the statement, I'll get it as false. This is about in Python. Now let's discuss about loops in Python. There are basically two types of loops in Python. One is for loop and while loop. The basic syntax for loop is for an iterator or a variable name. We generally write I as an iterator. In. So in what you want to iterate. Suppose you want to iterate in a list or any variable list A. You can write it as for I in list A. So I will get all the values inside this list A. I'll just show you an example. For, let me take A is equals to 1, 2, 3 for I in A. So what happens? A will take each and every value inside A. I will take each and every, let me print the value of I. And if I get executed, so I'll get 1, 2 and 3. So I takes the value inside A from 1 to the n. I is iterating over each and every element. Suppose I write A, B, C. I'll get as 1, 2, 3, 4 and A, B, C. So I is taking each and every value inside this. This is for loop syntax. Basically for loops allows you to execute a block of statement repeatedly. The basic loop we use is for loop and while loop. And if I want to have, if I have a string ABC, So I can iterate over it by using for I in S, print I. So what happens is I will take each and every string, every character inside the string, A, B, C. So this is about looping in Python. Okay, now let me write a simple program to print first 10 numbers using a for loop. So in order to get first 10 numbers, you can write list of range from 0 to 10, or you can just simply write 10. So for I in A, so I takes each and every value inside the A, and if I print I, I'll get it as 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You can also replace this statement here. So range of 10. So what happens is range is an iterable object. So I will take each and every value inside the range. Unlike here, we were printing range, but we are just getting, if I print the value of range of 10, I will get an object associated with this function, range 0 to 10. But when I iterate over range of 10, it will take each and every value inside the range. So it will take 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is about iteration using a for loop. And let me basically tell you the syntax of for loop. For a variable which you want to iterate inside a particular element or an object, you need to specify colon, and whatever statements you want to execute inside the for loop should be written with a tab space indentation. This is about for loop in Python. Let me also tell you about for else in Python. Okay. Suppose you are writing a for loop for I in range 10, and if I want to check if I is greater than 10, I need to print uh, yes, or else I need to print no. But what happens is when I execute this statement, okay, this I will get no for 10 times, because each time it will check for this condition I is greater than 10, else it will print this statement. But I want only once it to be executed, so just write else outside the for loop. So it checks for the if statement 10 times. If this was not executed, then it executes this statement. So I got no. Suppose I write I greater than 1. Okay, every time it gets yes, and finally it gets no. Okay, let me write I less than 100. Sorry, I less than minus 1. So this is not possible. So finally I'll get 1 no. This is about for else in Python. In the next video, we'll discuss about while loops and break, continue, and pass control statements. That's it for this video.